Hey fam, how's it going? Speed Duel Bro here, and in today's video we have ARCHFIEND'S Promotion. Let's go. For the skill card we have ARCHFIEND'S Promotion, and then for the monster lineup we've got 3 Vilepawn Archfiend, 3 Shadow Knight Archfiend, 1 Archfiend General, 1 Skull Archfiend of Lightning, and 1 Imprisoned Queen Archfiend. And then for the spells we have 1 Offerings to the Doomed, 2 Pandemonium, 2 Book of Moon, and 3 Galaxy Cyclone. And then for the traps we have 1 Wall of Disruption, 1 Metaverse, and 3 Widespread Ruin. And then for the extra deck we've got any good Waking the Dragon targets because we're playing Waking the Dragon in the side. So for the side deck we've got 1 Hammer Shot, 2 Shield Crush, 1 Flash of the Forbidden Spell, 1 Straight Flush, and 1 Waking the Dragon. How to win / strategies. Now before we go over the game plan fam, I want us to review just the skill card, so let's do it. So as you can see here, flip this card over when you activate this skill. It's not at the start of the duel, etc, etc. So let's flip it over. It reads, once per turn during your main phase, if you control Vilepawn Archfiend and your opponent controls no card in its same column, you contribute it to special summon 1 level 8 or lower Archfiend monster from your hand or deck that has Queen, Bishop, Rook, or Knight in its name. So basically fam, what this skill card is saying is that as long as we have Vilepawn Archfiend, we are going to be rewarded. And with my variation of this deck, or my spin or take on this deck, we are going to be aggressive. So fam, with this deck's strategy is also painstakingly simple, in the sense that all we have to do is have Vilepawn Archfiend and make sure the coast is clear, or should I say the column is clear. So once we've successfully summoned Vilepawn Archfiend, we are going to tribute it away into either Shadow Knight Archfiend or the Imprisoned Queen Archfiend. And this is just a pro tip for the newer players. You always want to get the brickier cards out of the deck first. So naturally our first choice would be Imprisoned Queen Archfiend, not only because of its strong attack, but we don't want to draw into it. Okay, now I know that my veterans and my OG TCG duelists know this, but again, just trying to help newer players out here. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Seriously, hopefully at that point you'd have Pandemonium so that we don't have to pay the life point cost. And by the way fam, don't forget to read Imprisoned Queen Archfiend effect. It actually has an effect when it's in the graveyard with Pandemonium on the field. So at least we have that going for it. There's some utility there. But the intention of this deck really is to just beat down the opponent quickly and immediately. And then the rest of the cards in the deck, like Offerings, Galaxy, and Widespread Ruin, they're all here to just help clear the columns so that we can go off again with Vilepawn Archfiend. So in a sense, ARCHFIEND'S Promotion is also just like ARCHFIEND'S Conscription in the way that it's painstakingly simple, but instead of us being sitting back and burning the opponent's life points away, with ARCHFIEND'S Promotion we are going to be aggressive and beat down the opponent. Card analysis. The skill card ARCHFIEND'S Promotion, I give props to Konami again for making the Archfiends very playable and for making Vilepawn Archfiend relevant. I just kinda wish though fam that with ARCHFIEND'S Promotion, I wish we could have been able to summon a stronger Archfiend from the graveyard as well. That way this skill would really be popping. But hey, we'll take what we can get, right? Because in the first place, for those of you that played way back in the TCG days, the Archfiends were very irrelevant, they're very horrible. So to see them have a chance in the spotlight here in Speed Duels, I'm just grateful. And then we play 3 Vilepawn Archfiend. Now this obviously needs no explanation. Vilepawn Archfiend is the star of the deck. The skill card was built around Vilepawn Archfiend, okay? And then we play the 3 Shadow Knight Archfiend. Now this is the only one that I liked out of all the other options between Bishop and Rook. Like if we were to play even Rook, we'd have to play the Terror King Archfiend, but as you all know with Terror King Archfiend, it can be a little bit restricting. Maybe someday I can make a decks from the lab based Terror King Archfiend build, but for now I wanted to prioritize beating down the opponent. And not only that, fam, with Shadow Knight Archfiend, even if we draw into it, at least we can summon it to the field right away and start attacking. But yeah, as you can see, our targets for this deck for the skill card is going to be Shadow Knight Archfiend and then Prison Queen, just for maximum offensive capability. And then we play the one Archfiend General. Now hear me out on this one, fam. In my playtesting, I didn't really like having 2 copies of Archfiend General in my deck or in my hand, because let's look at Pandemonium here. Let's keep it real. We're not getting much out of Pandemonium, you know, in terms of game-breaking effects or whatever. So if you look at this build, we've got Archfiend General, 2 Pandemonium, and 1 Metaverse. So in a way, it's like playing 4 copies of Pandemonium already. So I'm okay with the 1 Archfiend General and the 1 Metaverse here. It's what works for me. And then we play the 1 Skull Archfiend of Lightning. This is just extra muscle in the deck, because this could have been Prison Queen Archfiend, but again, in my playtesting, I did not like breaking with Prison Queen Archfiend. So at least with this one, with Archfiend of Lightning, we contribute 1 monster instead of 2 monsters. And then we play the 1 Prison Queen Archfiend. Now the reason why I'm playing just 1 is because, like I've mentioned just moments ago, when I was playing with 2, I was kind of breaking and it was a very rough time. For me, I feel like 1 is just enough. And then we play Offerings to the Doomed. As you all know, pretty great card in terms of destruction and removal, but for this deck's sake, you know, it's all about clearing the columns more so. And then we play the 2 Pandemonium. This is just kind of like a mandatory card to play, because we do not want to pay the life point cost in this build, okay? In this variant of the Archfiends, we don't want to pay the life point cost every standby phase. And that's it for Pandemonium. And be sure to read Pandemonium's effect, because we do get something, but you know, how often is it that we're gonna pull the second effect off, okay? And then we play the 2 Book of Moon. As you all know, Book of Moon is universal utility at its finest. I feel like I don't need to explain that one, because I've said it over and over and over again in all of my deck profile videos. And I feel like once a new duelist has an understanding of the mechanics of Book of Moon and what it does to the other mechanics of Yu-Gi-Oh!, then you'd be on a pretty good path on understanding the game. And then we play the 3 Galaxy Cyclone. Best back row removal utility. So it's basically getting, you know, 2 cards for the price of 1. So again, Galaxy Cyclone is really about clearing the columns. And then we play the 1 Metaverse. Now the reason why I'm playing 1 Metaverse, fam, is because at the very least, if I'm going to make my opponent waste their back row removal card, well, at least I can bait them a little bit, hopefully, with Metaverse. And here's the thing, our opponent's going to realize that we are back row heavy, so they're going to be more inclined to try to pop our back row. So why not try to plus off of that, right? And then we play the 1 Wall of Disruption. Now I felt like just having it so that our deck is more balanced. And as you know me, fam, I like to have a balanced approach as much as possible, because with duels, you'll be put in all kinds of different situations and you'll just be patting yourself on the back for just, you know, putting that 1 copy of a certain card. But yeah, as you know, the limited 3 section, the 2 Book of Moon, and the Wall of Disruption. So that's that. And then the 3 Widespread Ruin. Again, this is all just about clearing the columns. And as you all know, with the Archfiends, they can be very bricky. So at least with Widespread Ruin, it's going to help us buy some time and protect our life points. And like I said, clearing the columns for Vilepawn Archfiend. Now on to the side deck. We have the 1 Hammer Shot. I just like to have it, fam, just because if the opponent ever has any troublesome monster that's stronger than ours, well, at least we have Hammer Shot for it. And then we play the 2 Shield Crush. Now the reason why we're playing 2 Shield Crush is because the opponent will realize that we are an aggressive beatdown deck. So what they might try to do is play defensively and try to stall us out. Because remember, if we don't have Pandemonium, we're going to be paying life points. So Shield Crush just says, get out of the way and let's get straight to the opponent's life points. And then we play the 1 Flash of the Forbidden Spell and Straight Flush. Now for those of you that don't know, this is more so for the monster zones and this is for the spell and trap zones. So the reason why I'm playing these 2, fam, is because let's just say the opponent tries to be funny and says, oh, I filled up my columns, so you can't play your Vilepawn Archfiend. Well, why don't we try to be funny about it too? So that's why we have these. And then we played the one Waking the Dragon. The only reason why is because the opponent will also realize that we are back row heavy. So why not punish them for it when they try to destroy our back row? And then, as mentioned earlier, for the Waking the Dragon targets, just choose any of your preferred 6 targets, doesn't matter. And now, fam, it's time for the moment of truth. Where does this deck rank on the power scale? In my humble opinion, this deck is casual. Now, the reason why I say this deck is casual, fam, is because even though we are rewarded for having Vilepawn Archfiend so that we can aggressively beat down the opponent, even though that sounds great and all, the only thing that's really holding us back is Pandemonium. And the reason I say that, fam, is because we don't really get much out of Pandemonium. It doesn't really have any game-breaking effects. So these 2 precious 2 slots here for the deck, it could have been something else more game-breaking or more, you know, something that'll help us win the duel. But again, in this variant of Archfiends, this is kind of obligatory or mandatory. And then, of course, if the opponent finds a way to lock us down, well, sadly, we're gonna burn our life points away by ourselves, because all the opponent has to do is, again, destroy Pandemonium. But hey, that's the risk you take when playing the Archfiends, right? We all know what we signed up for. We're just thankful that, you know, the Archfiends are just a little bit relevant, you know, or at least playable this time around in speed duels. But don't let that aspect of Pandemonium stop you from playing this deck. This deck is still very fun, and for those of you that played in the TCG days that tried to make the Archfiends work, I'm pretty sure you're gonna feel pretty good about Archfiends in speed duels. You know, for what it's worth, the Archfiends are a very strong offensive deck. And the fact that we have the potential to negate an opponent's card effect for just rolling the dice, that's still a win in my book. So there you go, fam. That's the deck. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please feel free to hit the like button because it helps me out a lot. And if you haven't already subscribed to me, your Speed Duel bro, you're more than welcome to subscribe because 2 things. 1, I always play to win and I'll teach you how to win. And no matter what the power level of the deck is, be it casual, semi-competitive, or competitive, we're gonna do our best to win this thing. And 2, if you love speed duels, I'm sure you'll love me too, your Speed Duel bro. Alright fam, that's it for now. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.